to Game Nation. I'm Russell Pierce, and I'm here with the Dan Hibicki to my Canon Ryu, Brian Bonardi.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I like that intro.
There you go. I'm going to have a new one every week, I guess.
So, to start off, let's get everything covered about what we're going to do this week. Obviously, everyone knows what happened Tuesday. The Xbox One was revealed. And we'll get to that. But first off...
let's start. We have a little bit of news about all three major systems.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So we'll start out with Nintendo because we only got one here for Nintendo.
Yeah.
And, so we'll start out right here. Nintendo is going to be seizing ad revenue from any YouTube-generated Let's Plays or anything that has to do with their content being used.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this is they're using what is called a content ID match claim, which is basically any time that anything is used. Let's say it's from a game, or if it's for some sort of review of the game, whether it be a Let's Play, anything like that, is going
maybe even if someone reposted their Nintendo's Direct Connect videos. Yeah,
like that. They're going to seize any revenue claim, and this is actually causing some controversy because some people are like, this isn't what you should be doing, because even though this is we're using your video games for this, so in some cases they were given permission to use it for a review or whatever. In other cases, it's, these Let's Plays. We actually have a couple of guys on that are, we're going to bring them in right now that do Let's Plays.
Yeah, so. They are. This is Matt and Jeff.
The Hardy Boys?
No, not the Hardy Boys.
Oh, damn, I was really...
they actually run a YouTube channel called Press Select for Options. How's it going, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. It's going pretty alright.
So what do you guys think of this? You guys do, Let's Plays on YouTube. You just started out, so you're not as popular as guys as, PewDiePie or some of those other guys.
Oh, God, not even near that.
But what do you guys think of this at all?
Personally, it's like this. It's like at least Nintendo's not taking down the videos like Sega has been doing, like companies like that. I mean, it's not like the worst thing, but at the same time, you could choose just not to play the game. Then I mean, there's not too much you could do about it. It sucks, but
I personally think it's personally I think it should only be for newer content. Obviously, if Nintendo's ready to release a new game and it comes out, and everyone's doing Let's Plays of it day one, obviously people are going to lose, if people watch the Let's Play, they're going to lose, aspects of the story and stuff like that, and it's going to relatively ruin the game for themselves. I know a lot of people like to say, well, the experience is in the gameplay, but, if it's a nice game, nice story, blah, 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 you're gonna lose some of that watching it. And I've known people who haven't bought games because they watched it on Twitch TV or watched a Let's Play of it. And it's I can see why Nintendo's doing it. It can be an issue at times.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Matt, but that actually brings up an interesting topic. When you go to watch a Let's Play, are you really watching it for the game and the storyline itself, or are you watching it for the commentary and the humor of the Let's Player, if he's on that comedic style?
Well, if he's on obviously, for example, I'm going to bring up Game Grumps, for example. I first started watching them because I thought they were funny. Some games were interesting to me, but some games weren't. I just think they're funny guys. But some I've watched a Let's Play here and there because I was relatively interested in the story. And I mean, even I'm guilty. It's I'm one of those people who will buy a game and maybe not play it for a few weeks or months or whatever. But I'm mainly into fighters. But
okay.
I've watched if I like certain games like RPGs and stuff, I will watch it. If I have no interest in buying it, I will watch someone play it online, and I'll be like, okay, so that's what the story's about. And
I think that's the main issue, right? Because companies are like, oh man, this person's watching the game. Clearly, they're not going to buy it, but that doesn't always happen. For example, I was an example would be the 2009 Bionic Commando game. I had watched a lot of gameplay on it, and I was like, I need this game, and I bought it the next day. So it's more or less, it depends on the person, And that's another thing that's been going on lately is more people are like, I'd rather watch a Let's Play than play the game. They're like, why should I buy the game? I can watch a Let's Play. Well, yeah, YouTube's the greatest way to experience games, I guess, right?
Well, I think that this also comes back to the old argument of whether it's basically It's kind of in the same vein as the piracy argument, whether you pirate, whether it be music or movie or in a video game, and there's always the argument, well, that person, that's one less person that would buy it. But in some cases, it's actually not. Actually, most of the time, if it wasn't for a person, if a person isn't so interested in something that they won't go past the point of torrenting it, they probably wouldn't have bought it in the first place. So it's really an old argument of that. It's, whether or not this affects the bottom line of a company. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think it does in the slightest.
With Nintendo, right?
Say again?
With Nintendo games, right?
Well, yeah, with Nintendo games specifically. I'm saying that it doesn't really affect this particular bottom line because in a lot of cases, I believe that most of these people will buy these games anyway. And we'll use the Let's Play as maybe a way to get around something that they're not sure what's going on, or just maybe they've already beat it once, now they don't want to play through the whole thing, they just want to rewatch it, but they've already purchased the game. It's not gonna affect the bottom line of Nintendo. So
the other question is though about that is what content are they tending to block your ad revenue for? Is it newer games, older games? Because how much more money can you make off of Super Mario Brothers, the very first one, you know what I mean?
Well, from what I'm reading is that any type of audio or image or anything that is found that is copyrighted from a Nintendo game is being sought out, and they're actually doing it. The way that they're doing this is they essentially have a bot that is going through YouTube, going through YouTube videos and looking for anything that is Nintendo copyrighted material, mm-hmm. and flagging the video, which YouTube is really they opt to flag things before they even look into them because it's just the way they work. They'd rather, instead of going on a case by case basis, they would rather just flag it and then worry about it later. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is a big issue for a lot of people because some of these people use these Let's Plays as their primary source of income. I don't know of any off the top of my head, but some of them I assume are going to be using it for to pay their bills, their rent, their phones.
That's where it becomes a problem, I think. Now if you're making it your primary source of income, that's where I can see Nintendo being mad. But if you're doing it for fun.
Well, may I put my little input on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're using a Let's Play channel as your primary source of income, in my personal opinion, that there's something wrong with that because you're technically using someone else's content to make yourself money. I understand, like we said earlier, there's the comedic value and then there's the commentary value and everything like that. But if you're gonna rely on YouTube profits to carry your life, the content should be 100% yours. That's just my opinion, though. There's nothing wrong with making extra money on the side, especially with Let's Play channels, stuff like that. But stuff like this happens, and you can't really complain if everything's getting taken down because you're technically using a Nintendo product, a Sony product, this developer's product, and you're using it as an extension for yourself to make that money. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think instead of them seizing the ad revenue and claiming it for themselves, what they should start doing, YouTube should just not give ad revenue to people who want to do Let's Plays. But then because then anybody could do it and it wouldn't be a problem. And exactly. Because one of the big arguments is that Nintendo is essentially claiming the money. And I think if they were to just say, look, we don't want the money for these, but we also don't want other people receiving money for these, I think that would solve a lot of problems. And flagging the videos and stuff wouldn't be they wouldn't have to do that if there was no ad revenue for these type of things. Now that's a problem in and of itself with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think with all this with Nintendo is that they're it seems like they're a little bit afraid because it seems like they don't quite understand how times have caught up. It almost seems like Nintendo's still a few steps behind. Then again, it always seems like every generation almost Nintendo's a few steps behind, but it almost seems like they don't want to completely catch up. I mean, they've been doing great work with their Nintendo Directs, and the Wii U's got nice capabilities and all of it. Overall, it just seems like with this YouTube thing, it seems like they're just trying to almost cover themselves. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. They're trying to play catch up, but it's becoming really hard for them to do that. They just don't know how to deal with the fact that the internet exploded around 2004 4 or 6 or whatever, and they're just like, we don't know how to handle this. We think this is the best option.
Yeah,
again, I said,
it does have that. It does have that going on where Nintendo has always felt like it's still clinging to the past, and I don't know how much of that is really with this. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, basically, it really comes down to a copyright. You know, whether the copyright laws go this far. You know, whether they become this. Brian, really? Everyone just calling your house right now?
It's popular.
That's
all
good.
All phones in this basement are now disconnected.
Okay, there we go. That's sorry, guys. That threw me off. Sorry, everybody out there.
External difficulties.
Yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it really breaks down to whether or not how the copyright laws really work, and this is a gray area with the copyright laws. No one, like, when they were written, nobody thought of, well, what if there's this box that we can just have people sit like, you know, connect things to, and then like start to free stream their what they're doing on that screen directly to anybody in the world.
Right,
they didn't think of that when copyright laws were written.
And I think as far back as I can probably think, copyright laws were really written when
copyright laws.
Copyright laws.
Okay, I wasn't the only one who heard that.
Copyright laws were written around the time of television was starting to become a big thing.
No, copyright laws have always existed. It's just it when it comes to that kind of media, it was written really for old school when there was like, you know, just the main TV network.
It's an archaic design.
We also have the issue of you know, everyone trying to amend these old laws and, you know, copyright and all that stuff, and then you have the people who are amending this not knowing the full media concept, and then they're just screwing everything over. So when it comes to actually changing it, that's an issue within itself.
Yeah, this is my area of expertise, actually. So basically, what you're saying is exactly true. That when it comes to any type of amended law, in this case copyright, it really comes down to the exact familiarity of that person with that law. And a lot of our elected officials that do these things are older, not as up on it, not in their they're not in their 20s. They're
20s or 30s.
Legally, most of them can't be.
They
senators.
Don't keep up on the times. Yeah.
And, you know, even the most tech-savvy 45-year-old is nowhere near as up to date with how technology works as your average 18 to 24-year-old.
I don't think anyone ever will.
They don't understand the cool kids these days.
Yeah.
You kids and your internet.
Well, we'll see where this goes. We're gonna move on from this.
We're gonna move on right now
because this is a story that it's just now developing. We'll come back to it in the future, like we always do.
We always do.
But now we'll get into the big boy.
Now we'll get into the big one, which was Microsoft revealed the Xbox One on Tuesday, and all I have to say to Xbox is this. Bravo, Xbox.
We actually have a little bit of we have a portion of, we might be violating copyright laws here.
Oh God!
We have a little.
Strike the band.
We have a little portion of the actual conference we want to play for everybody. That pretty much sums it up.
It's not really like someone on YouTube. I forget who made the actual video.
Let's not give a name because it might give them legal implications.
It might give them legal implications. Also, I just don't know. But it's pretty much the entire Xbox conference
in a minute and a half.
In a minute and a half nutshell. So just have a quick listen to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Xbox One. TV experience. TV and movies. TV. Xbox. Watch TV. TV. Watch TV. TV and TV remote. TV experience. TV. Sports TV. Anybody? TV, and TV. Xbox, go home. TV. Sports. Television, TV.
Xbox is about to become the next water cooler. Sports.
Television. I'm thrilled to announce a live-action Halo television series.
Television, TV, sports.
Television, TV.
For Call of Duty, an entirely new Call of Duty for the next generation. Call of Duty.
One of the fascinating new additions to your squad is a dog. This is someone you care about. Call of Duty. All of the new story elements. Call of Duty. Our new dog model is taken from high-resolution scans of an actual SEAL Team service dog.
Call of Duty. Xbox, go home.
There you have it. Lots of TV, dogs, and Call of Duty, and there's some sports sprinkled in there too. Jeff, Matt, what do you guys think about this? Just I want an instant reaction to that one.
Just a nice reaction.
Yeah, that's something.
I don't know, the whole everything, just because the way I see it, and I don't know if you guys follow Adam Sessler and Rev 3, but they were.
I used to. I don't anymore.
It was like he brought up a good point. They weren't showing off to the people that were actually tuning in, which was the people who mainly play video games, the ones who are going to initially care about this. They showed off to the general consumer, the person who's looking for the next their next television set or something.
Yeah.
Or really like fantasy football.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Basically, they want the way that it works, and a lot of people know this now, but anybody who doesn't at this point, is they want the Xbox One, which might I add, I have a serious problem with that name. We'll get into that in a minute. But
I'll take my comment for when he gets there.
They want the Xbox One to be the all-encompassing TV box, DVD player, video game console.
This sounds familiar.
Wall projection unit.
This sounds familiar, outside of that last one.
Wall projection unit. Your girlfriend, apparently. I think that's what they want it to be. Because I don't really... or a boyfriend, I'm sorry. There's girl gamers. But they're, I just don't really understand why they chose to do it this way. It almost seems like they're already getting to last-ditch effort mode before they even had first-ditch effort.
Yeah, and the way that, when I was watching that conference, I don't know if you guys watched the conference in full or not at all.
I watched about 30 minutes, and I had to leave.
Okay.
I actually only watched one whole minute of it. So the Xbox 1 minute was all I gave. Basically, I turned it on, and they were talking about fantasy NBA interactivity, and I went, I'm done. I'm already done. I mean, I like the NBA, but I like fantasy sports, but I was okay doing that on my computer.
Right. So my initial reaction when I was watching the conference was am I watching a console reveal, or am I watching Microsoft saying we're making a cable box?
They are making a cable box.
I saw that some people were like, it's just a powered up cable box.
Since the conference, there's been more information revealed about the Xbox. They actually finally revealed the actual hardcore hardware specs on the thing. And I was reading it now. I know a lot of our listeners aren't really tech nerds or.
Well, just basically here.
It's a comparison between the original 360, the Xbox One, and the PS4.
Well, basically. Pretty much across the board, I'm just going to leave the 360 out of this. Across the board, I mean, with the CPU cores, they're the exact same thing. The CPU frequency, same thing. Same exact, pretty much everything down the board until you get to the GPU cores. I don't know much about this. Does anybody here know how does GPU cores? I don't know what GPU, but whatever.
Our usual tech guy would know.
The number is significantly higher for GPU cores. It goes from 768 for the Xbox One to 1152 for the PS4. Then something about shaders also leans towards the PS4. We don't have any information on the embedded memory and bandwidth of the PS4 yet, so those can't be compared. The system memory, essentially the same thing. Actually, this one I know. One is 2133 megahertz DDR3. The other one is 5500 megahertz GDDR5, which that may actually be slightly in the Xbox One's corner, but they're very comparable.
From our understanding, they're about the same.
System memory bus, same exact thing. System memory bandwidth is significantly in the camp of PlayStation 4 with over 100 extra gigabytes. Manufacturing process, exact same things. And these are out of it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of 10 specs, 2 can't be compared yet. And almost all are in the either equal or in the favor of the PS4. Now this is where the reason why we bring that up is because what we've been hearing about prices. We've been hearing a lot about.
Hey, you're forgetting about those 5 billion transistors.
Oh yeah, the transistors. Yeah, we got.
Oh yeah, something they labeled right there on the top. They're like 5 billion transistors and 8 gigabytes of RAM.
What I loved about that was that they compared their transistors to what Microsoft had in 1999.
No, that was the servers.
Oh, that was the servers.
That was the
sorry.
amount of Xbox Live servers. And they literally said we have 300,000 servers now for Xbox Live. That's more than the total amount of servers that was in the entire planet in 1999.
I would hope that was the case. You're Microsoft.
My immediate reaction to that was whoop-de-doo.
No. It shouldn't be whoop-de-doo. It should be duh. It's 15 years later, and they're the #1 computer software manufacturer.
They're supposed to be one of the. They're supposed to be one of the leading ones. Keep up with this shit.
But basically all these specs. The reason why I bring that, sorry, I normally don't get that emotional.
It was actually pretty funny.
Basically, the way I was looking at it was, I'm usually the stoic one here. They're essentially the same across the board. For the most part, the PS4 and the Xbox One are going to be essentially the same system, just slightly less features on it. I mean, we're not going to be able to project our wall to look like a cartoon universe from the PS4. But basically, they're talking about a price differential of possibly $200. Like the low end for the Xbox One is $500, the high end is $600 is what's been projected, whereas the low end high end for the PS4 has been $350 to $400, which is a minimum of, no matter what, even if the PS4 is on its high end and the Xbox One is on its low end, it's still a $100 differential.
Now, that's a big difference. Now, based on what I've been seeing, well. Let's talk about what's actually going to be in the Xbox One in terms of like the hardware. Now, we saw the actual system design, we saw the new controller, we saw the new Kinect.
Yeah. Leave it alone, Brian.
Oh, I'll get to the Kinect in a minute. I gotta say,
mandatory.
The system design looks ugly. It is so generic.
It looks like a 1995 VHS player.
I got one of those in my closet.
You know what? It might look ugly and all, but like you got to look at it like this too. Like people like the fact that the PS2 was flat because you can put other shit on top of it. Like I don't like the look of the Xbox One, but I do like the fact that it's flat. Because if you are one of those unfortunate souls who actually buy one, you can put other shit on top of it.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but. I've never been one to base my opinion on a system based on its look.
No, I'm just saying like in this day and age where everything is like all nice and fancy, the design is like. But now like I saw the new controller design.
Looks exactly the same.
It looks pretty much exactly the same, except the Xbox button is on the top instead of being in the middle.
Yeah.
The new buttons, the new like sensitive triggers, the new bumpers, the updated D-pad, which. The only reason you would use a D-pad is if you were playing a fighting game.
And even that is not really necessary anymore. For the most part on console.
Well, if you're that passionate about a fighting game, you're going to have a stick.
Exactly. You're going to have an arcade stick.
Yeah.
But like my big thing was when they brought out the system and they started talking about the Kinect.
Yeah.
And this is where I get into my tirade. I bloody hate the Kinect.
Yes,
with an undying
He
passion.
hates it so much he actually becomes a 1980s British guy.
I do. I do become a 1980s British guy. Now, the fact that the Kinect is mandatory to be connected to the system, that's fine. But here's my thing. Why keep working with the Kinect? The Kinect Generation 1 Kinect sucked. I have asked so many people to come up. Went up to so many people and asked them, can you name me one really good game that worked with the Kinect. And I'm not talking about like saying the game is enhanced with the Kinect. I'm talking about the games that said you need to have the Kinect to play this game.
And of all 6 people that he asked, none of them could come up with anything.
No, none of them.
Well, let's play devil's advocate real quick. If you're a company that put millions of dollars of resource into a motion sensor bar camera thing, would you want to drop it? Like, I completely agree with you. Like, the Kinect, in my opinion, is a waste. But like, if you're putting all that time and resource into that, and you're using especially when you're using a developer like Rare and making them not make games and make a sensor bar, would you just drop it completely, or would you try to get it to work? You know what I'm saying here? Like,
I'd like to add on to that actually. What if haven't actually seen how this Kinect works? I personally don't like the Kinect. I don't like my my physical activity and my video games to be mixed with each other. I like to separate the two. But let's say that this Kinect actually does work, and the last one was a prototype model failure, but this one is Kinect 2.0, and it actually works.
It's a newer generation Kinect, so they've had time to update it, update the hardware, the software,
now here's the question is not only on top of their question, should they have dropped it, does that change your opinion if it works properly?
If it works properly, I will be immensely surprised, and it probably could change my opinion.
Well, sorry.
Will it change my opinion of motion gaming as a whole? No. Because I'm still not a fan of motion gaming because, like you said...
Because you're lazy.
Well, A, because I'm lazy, and B, I'm 26 years old. I've grown up just playing my games with a controller and not flailing around my entertainment room like an idiot.
Well, I played DDR. That was kind of...
But that's different, though. Yeah. I want to say that's different, but at the same time, it's kind of in that same vein as motion controls.
Yeah.
But, like, when the new Xbox One comes out, and any games start mandating the Kinect, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give the Kinect a try. And with the Kinect, like, this kind of segues into the other argument where Microsoft have been really, really vague on this. Now, some information has come out to kind of solidify their stance on this, but it's the always-on/always online rumors.
That's also connected with the Kinect. Always watching you. Like,
yeah, that's what I was
like HAL style.
That's what I was saying. The Kinect, while the system may be off, the Kinect is going to be on in a low power state, whereas like the camera may not be on, but the microphone will be on.
Yeah, that gets into a whole different.
I read an article that was actually released today, I believe, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about this like at some other time, but apparently there's talk that they're trying to use the Kinect 2 or the new Kinect for the Xbox One as a kind of like a visual DRM for your games and stuff on your console. Like I said, that's a topic for a whole nother time.
Yeah, we'll get into that topic.
Well, actually, we're talking this whole show is basically
everything that's been going on throughout the Xbox One leak.
So that is actually connected to this whole thing. And basically, the way I look at it is, I don't like a consistent camera idea. I just don't like it. I mean, I read a joke article actually earlier today where they said that this is that Microsoft has actually partnered up with the United States government to try and get international secrets.
Was it on The Onion?
I don't think it was on The Onion. I think it was. I don't know where it was actually, but basically, I mean, whereas that is a joke, yes. So they're trying to get international secrets and domestic, secrets. It's not as far-fetched as the joke would seem. If you have a camera that's connected to an internet source that needs to, according to the Xbox sources, the Microsoft sources, I should say, needs to connect to the internet one time a day. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, that was according to Phil Harrison, who I think heads the UK division of Microsoft.
Yeah, it needs to connect at least one time a day for things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah,
that raises another question. Are they gonna penalize you for not connecting for that day or something? Like what happens if you don't?
That's the big question. Microsoft has yet to give a straight answer on that.
And that's been another problem with this whole thing since Tuesday, right? Or Monday. Sorry. Is that Microsoft has been very vague and very glossing over all of these questions, and I watched the interview with one of the Microsoft representatives, and a lot of the answers he gave was typical corporate nonsense. But the way he was talking, he was trying to just throw the person who was interviewing him off. That wasn't happening, but the way he was doing, he was just trying to confuse everything out of him. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, are you serious? In this day and age, you're really going to try to confuse people with words? No one, as much as not the entire gaming population is so savvy or whatever on everything, but the gaming population is not as dumb as the big corporations seem to think they are. Which, to the credit of, say, Sony or Nintendo, they don't seem to be treating their consumers like that right now. Microsoft, on the other hand, at least from what I'm seeing right now, they seem to be trying to treat people like, oh, you're going to buy this. This is a TV. You like TVs? There you go. You like sports? There you go.
Yeah.
Like the indie game thing. Are you?
I did hear about that Microsoft is not going to allow independent game developers publish their own product on the Xbox One's network. You have to go through like an actual distributor, whereas Sony is going the exact opposite route.
Yeah, which that really hurts obviously it hurts any indie gamer, but it also hurts the indie game lover.
The indie game scene.
Yeah, the whole scene. Like it hurts the developers and it hurts the consumer. It hurts both. It's a no-win.
Yeah, because now indie game developer is limited to 2 or 3 mediums. One being the PS4.
Steam.
2 being the PC.
Yeah.
Like not just Steam, like the PC in general.
Steam is pretty much the most
if you wanted,
well-known.
If you wanted to put it on there, you could put it on Nintendo's Wii U. Which I will say this, I like Xbox One's name better than the Wii U, because at least when I say Xbox One, I don't think of Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
No,
fire truck. Wii U.
That too.
I don't like the fact that it's called the Xbox One because it's confusing. What do
you say when you go to pick something up at the store for the Xbox One? Like, if you want an Xbox One game, I like a One game, or I like an Xbox game. Like, in my opinion, they should have called it the On. The Xbox On would have fit better, in my opinion.
I think they should have. Actually, our friend Dave came up with this one. He said that the best way, since Microsoft seems to wants to break free from their 360 number, they should have just went the route of how like the iPad is with Apple, where it's just they stopped adding numbers and it's just iPad now. It should have just been Xbox. And but it doesn't matter. It should then it just becomes synonymous. It no longer has to have you don't have to be like, oh, which one do you have? It's just Xbox. Yeah. I'm an Xbox player. You know?
I just wonder what you guys thought of it. I mean, like I know it's 2013 already, but
really? Is it really?
Yes. Oh. No, but what I'm saying is that it's 2013. Everyone should have at least some sort of HD TV, but the Xbox One does not support composite or component.
Yeah, that actually shocks me. But then again, it does kind of slew into the fact that almost everyone now has like a updated HD TV where HD component is kind of a dying breed. Now, there are some people out there who are in like lower income families or neighborhoods who can't afford an HD TV now, or just don't want to get one. So
some people actually prefer the cathode ray tube.
The CRT TVs, yeah. So now you have to spend an extra couple of dollars to buy a converter if they're out there.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to look at it this way too. Like we were saying before about like fighting games and all that. Like for tournaments and stuff like that, like be it a fighting game or like Halo or whatever. A lot of people who bring because they're higher, they're big scale tournaments. So like a lot of people will bring like their own TVs and stuff like that. I'm not going to bring my 32-inch TV. Like, I know it's not that big, but still. Like, if you notice, like, during a lot of these tournaments, it's a bunch of CR TVs.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people prefer it that way, too, because, a lot of flat screen TVs at the time weren't game-friendly, so sometimes there'll be, like, a slight lag or anything like that. But, a lot of people bring their CR TVs because, they're durable. They might be a little bit heavier and stuff like that, but they're cheap. Like, if you break it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I guess people are going to be bringing like their computer monitors because computer monitors now have HDMI ports.
That's actually what we're actually, just a little segue. We're actually we want to build our own arcade unit. We're looking to build. I have an old 32-inch cathode ray tube TV. We can just drop in there and we can make it look like an old school
arcade box.
Street Fighter arcade box. We're looking to do.
And either put a 360 in there or a PC for games.
No, we're gonna do PC.
If you guys ever need a stencil, I have an X-Men versus Street Fighter machine.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that later. But let's get back to the Xbox One. Let's not.
Speaking back to the indie thing,
yeah.
What do you guys think about? This extends also to the PlayStation 4. With Jonathan Blow getting up on the stage and announcing The Witness exclusively for the PlayStation 4, and all these indie developers in general just talking so good on Sony's part, because one of the articles I read was Sony's doing a big old push and so is Nintendo, but Sony's just getting in there way faster. And I feel like I've been wondering this because not a lot of people seem to be talking about it. Is this going to hurt Microsoft in the long run of not getting these indie developers, seeing as indie games have, exploded into this huge phenomenon right now? They're just all over the place. People just love playing indie games more than buying a $60 game right now. And either the consoles, all three of them. I'm sorry.
I think that what this is actually, I was talking about this the other day, and Sony and Nintendo have been in the video game running longer than Microsoft. Nintendo, obviously.
Nintendo being the longest.
The longest.
Yeah.
Sony's been doing it since when did the
PS1 I think came out in
94, 95.
Yeah, it was the mid 90s.
Let's say 95.
Unless you want to count the MXS computer.
Yeah, well, let's just
no.
We'll just stick with that. And then Microsoft really didn't get into the game until 2003.
The 2000s.
Yeah, 2003.
No, it had to be 2001 or 2002, right?
Yeah. 2002. Okay, let's go with 2002.
Yeah.
So I think what's going on with Microsoft is they're kind of like that. They're essentially like that guy who just hit he's in his peak right now, and he thinks he's big and bad, and he just can kind of take on all comers. And they kind of have Microsoft, at least at their Xbox division, has kind of built up a unjustified superiority complex to Nintendo and Sony, who are actually way smarter at maneuvering around the changing video game market, especially Sony, it seems like. I mean, I could be wrong in that, but it seems like Sony is really grabbing onto the right things right now. And it almost comes off like this false sense of we know where it's going, and we're going to do it the way we're going to do it, and everyone else is going to have to follow. And I think that comes from last generation, because they were, at least with online gaming, they unjustly were the number one online gaming system, even though they were charging when Sony wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it was Sony now charges for the PlayStation Plus.
But that's just an add-on service.
That's an add-on service. And that's my opinion. I feel like they have this superiority complex that almost kind of makes me root against them and want to see them fail and be like, whoa, we were wrong. Yeah.
That kind of brings back memories of when
the PlayStation 3 was coming out.
Exactly.
The PlayStation 2 was on top.
It was
PlayStation and you got to look, because I guess most people, we're not going to forget, but PlayStation and PlayStation 2 were dominating. Nintendo did not have the market share. It was all Sony. Sony was controlling it. And the PS2 was coming out, that was becoming actually a problem for some developers. They didn't know how to program for the PlayStation 2. And because of that, a lot of them were getting very upset about this. But Sony had that attitude. They're like, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the most
part... But then the
part,
Dreamcast was like, I'm here. And they're like, get out of here.
And for the most part, though, Sony was kind of still right, because the PlayStation 2 still stayed on top. But then the PlayStation 3 got announced. I feel like when they got on stage and they're like $599 US, I feel like they just they were getting way too arrogant. And this whole generation, halfway through this generation, they saw that and they obviously started doing revisions. But one of the I had it in my head. I lost it.
I think I get what you're saying. You're seeing a huge paradigm shift between Sony and Microsoft.
Oh, that's right.
That's a $50 word right there.
That is a $50 word.
My bad. I remember what I was going to bring up. It was about how Sony had, before right now, they had this 46 or 64 step process. This crazy labyrinth-like maze thing.
You're talking about their 10-year plan, right?
Yeah, to get on their system, put a game on there. It's like you got to verse the Minotaur and get the chalice. It's crazy. So they said that they're breaking it down every week. They're just getting rid of that. They're just making a simple process. You could self-publish. here you can also have the rights to your game. You know, they pay them, I guess, I was supposed, the fees, whatever, to get their game on there, but they're not going to charge. They haven't charged in 3 years for an update from people.
Yeah.
For not major games, I believe. But yeah, you know, I heard about that whole, you got to pay $9,000 or whatever for an update or some kind of crazy stuff. But Sony hasn't actually charged in about 3 years. So they're doing a 360, I guess.
I see what you did there.
Wouldn't it be a 180? A 360?
Right,
You'd turn. No, hold on. A 360, you turn around and you end up right back where you started.
You're right. I just wanted to try to think I could be clever. I can't.
it almost worked.
But that's the point. Is that Sony is really trying to change it around because they saw, wow, what did we do?
And to bounce on top of that, like a lot of developers, like Sony actually did go to developers and ask, what do you want from our new system? A lot of the developers were like, it was so hard to develop for the cell processor.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was the problem, the cell processor.
It was a great processor, I'll give Sony that. But
it was like not even they could figure out what is, it's a circle. What do we do with, it looks shiny. That was the main thing going on right there. But they definitely see the error, how they were doing things. Like you said, though, they were going to people. This is the weirdest thing because normally big companies don't just go to people like that, to indie developers. Like the guy who made I forgot his name, who made Retro City Rampage. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to.
I don't know the name.
No, I was reading a little bit about it. I don't know.
That game is so much fun. I recommend it. But regardless, the guy who made it said he loves it. He loved working on it for the Vita and the PlayStation 3. And some people thought Sony was paying him, but at the same time, like, what if he's telling the truth? What if he generally liked working with them and for their console? It's just amazing to see that if all this stuff is true, Sony's really trying to push it for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
But, that's the indie game thing.
Now, this brings up another good question. It's another question entirely. What do you guys feel about the fact that Microsoft has been really, and I mean really vague on how the pre-owned game market is going to work?
That's a disaster within itself. Like,
they have been so vague about it because then I heard
Matt, you go first. Jeff, hold your thought.
Sorry. It's just so, like, the pre-owned game thing is just like when you say, like, don't ever go to a whole press conference and say there's going to be a fee for this and not say the fee. Like, I can understand, like, if you're not revealing your console price at the time or anything, you know, that's for another time.
That's going to be $330.
Yeah.
Just don't say, like, if you want to play a pre-owned game and you don't want to, you know, recover your gamer tag information on your friend's console, your friend's gonna have to pay this fee. Well, what's the fee, Microsoft? We'll let you know another time. I hate when companies do that. Like, it's a pain in the butt, and it.
And Jeff, you had a thought. What was your thought?
Like, they've been so vague with all that, especially the used games, because I don't know about you guys, when I read the information and heard it, they're like, yeah, there's going to be a fee for used games, and Microsoft's like, no used games, but if you bring it over a friend's house onto their profile, you got to pay for it, but if you bring your hard drive over or whatever, you don't have to pay for it, and it's like, look, if you're going to charge, and someone brought up this, if the money goes back to the developer that they charge for the used games, then yeah, but I'm like, who says that that's going to happen? Like, that Microsoft's going to just give back to companies? Are you serious?
Yeah,
you really think that's going to happen? I think Microsoft wants to be like GameStop, control the used game market.
Well, you also got to look at it this way too. With a console that already charges you the access to online, like for example, like, imagine you're just the basic consumer, like, you know nothing of, like, you just buy the video game consoles for, like, maybe your kid or something like that, or you don't know much about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, Billy, here's $60 for the year of Xbox Live. Oh, and here's, I bought this game. It was used for $20. Go ahead and pop it in. Mom, it says I have to pay another fee. Like, you're already throwing all your money at this company to begin with, and now you're paying some undisclosed fee to play a used game. Like, even as a normal consumer, or even, like, as a gamer, like, you look at that and be like, how much money do you want? Especially, I'm already paying $60 for Xbox Live, and there's advertisers on my dashboard. Like what's the big deal? Like, I would be really pissed if that was me.
Eat more Doritos.
Yeah, eat more Doritos. Well, one thing that because this has been an ongoing argument with whether or not used games should be controlled in such a way to prevent this secondary market from existing. So that's kind of, I'm desensitized to that argument now. I've just kind of accepted that this route is happening, and it's nothing that can really be done to stop it. The problem I really have with the Xbox One when it comes to that is not being able to redeem any of your pre-downloaded games that you might have on your account. So let's say, my Xbox account is Dark Hour X. There we go. So I renew it, and there now all our listeners can find me.
I'm not giving mine.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't go on it that often anyway. So I remember I told you I traded my Xbox straight up for
you did. For the 3DS.
Yeah, for the 3DS. So basically, let's say I have games downloaded on. Let's say I don't know what's a game that I might have downloaded.
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy. That's a good one. Thank you. And I still want to play Super Meat Boy. I have to now pay for it again because I can't redeem my already downloaded pass for it.
No backwards compatibility.
And no backwards compatibility on top of that, which I'm okay with that because that's another thing I've accepted, that backwards compatibility has become a farther thing from what we know anymore. But the whole way that they're doing this, you're already paid for downloaded games, which I know Sony is already said that they're gonna allow people to. They're already talking about how they're gonna try to figure out the easiest transition for people to get into download.
The Gaikai stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to help you. They want to do that. I mean, I wouldn't mind paying a fee for that. That means I could stream stuff that I either have or whatever. But you brought up a good point about backwards compatibility. People, man, they're really upset about that. But at the same time, you're right. It's not really a big deal. I'm not breaking out my PlayStation 3 wanting to play my PlayStation 2 games anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, like our friend Dave brought up the argument that when the guys were developing the systems, it actually costs a lot of money to put either the emulation software in there or the hardware itself in the system to enable backwards compatibility.
Especially when you're changing over when you're finally changing over to Blu-ray, which
Xbox is finally doing.
Which really, it took you this long? I mean, Blu-rays have existed since 2005.
Yeah.
You gotta. We're already you gotta have up on the times.
That's the one thing I give Sony though is the cell processor, like the certain games like Heavy Rain, Uncharted, stuff that's built off Yakuza, that's built off the PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. Emulating that would be such a problem on a new console. So you know what? Whatever. It's like, I'm on my PlayStation 4. I want to play Heavy Rain. I can't. Oh well.
Plug in your PS3.
You can still that.
That's why I'm not that upset about that, because I still have a PS2 and a PS3.
I feel like I have my PS3 and my PS2 somewhere in my house.
And my PS2 counts as a PS1. So.
I feel like at this point with this generation, because a lot of us when we were younger, we didn't know how to hold on to these systems. I don't know about you guys, but for me, my parents were the ones who, like, when we were moving and stuff or wherever I was going, had no control of where it was going. We had to put it in a box somewhere, and I was lucky enough to find it again. But with my newer stuff, now that I'm older, I hold on to this stuff. I know where it's going to go, and this is where my PlayStation 3 is going to sit, out here by my television. I have control. My point is I have control over it. I feel like that was one of the main problems with most, like the PlayStation 1 or the N64. Most people either couldn't hold on to it for some reason, or they just wanted the newer stuff. That's just me personally.
Yeah. Well, we have one last thing, and then we're going to start wrapping up the Xbox, because we're
going to start wrapping up the Xbox topic with this last story, because we got other things to talk about.
This report comes courtesy of The Verge. Microsoft is finally doing away with their point system for purchasing online, since we were talking about online purchases anyway. Mm-hmm. They're going to be switching over from points to now just having the amount be there.
Yeah.
So basically similar to what
Sony does.
I
really did not mind the point system, because once you figured out like the math, like the
but it's not difficult for you. But what if you're buying for what if like a parent, like was said before, a parent's buying for a child, they don't know what the hell these points mean.
True.
1,600 points equals $20. I understand that, but are they going to know that?
That is true. You got to appeal to the wide audience.
So you guys think that this is something that's long overdue, or did you not care?
I never agreed with the point system anyway. I've always thought of it, the point system. I've always thought of it like the block system with Nintendo games when you save.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's wrong with just saying like the dollar amount or the memory amount? Like,
yeah, the block system was really annoying. I remember that. Thanks for reminding me.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't want to go online and like, as you said before, like this game is 1,600 points, and like if I'm not a gamer or anything like that, I'm gonna think maybe 100 points equates to $1.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't with Microsoft.
Yeah, it's
$20.
The number is weird. How it, like 1,600 equals $20. It's like what?
And then you got to think. And then you also got to think further into it. Like whose smart idea was that? Like in the company to choose that. At least with Nintendo points, with the Wii and stuff like that. I'm not like it's 100 points to the dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's understandable. I can get behind that. But
I don't even understand how the math breaks down for 1,600. Point.
Exactly. It's like some sort of fraction to figure out like Celsius to Fahrenheit. Like
that's one thing I know. A personal friend of mine who's a major Xbox Microsoft supporter. He's like, I will give Sony that up and down. I like knowing like I'm paying $5 for this game instead of like X amount of points instead.
Yeah.
I know the dollar value is a lot better consumer wise, and also just not having to think about it wise. I don't want to have to go in there and be like, oh, I want 2,000 points. How much is that? Well, it's about $15. What? All right.
Yeah, it's very like, okay, how much is this game? It's $5 to download this DLC, or $10 depending on the DLC content.
Yeah.
Another issue with the points too is that do you have like a little like internal conflict, and you're like, do I go out and buy the card for the points, or do I use my credit card or debit card? And if you use your credit or debit card, it's tied to that account now, and there's no way to remove it unless you call Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that was a problem within itself.
But yeah, so that's pretty much all we got on the Xbox.
Like we can go in like the entire episode talking about the Xbox.
But we're gonna be bringing it up next time. We got a lot of stuff to
talk about. Before I let you guys go, where can people follow you?
You can follow us on YouTube on Press Select for Options, the 4 being the number, or they can get us on Facebook at Press Select for Options, but the 4 is actually spelled FOR because they won't let us use the number for some reason.
We also do have a Twitter.
We have a Twitter account under the same
what's the Twitter account?
The Twitter account's the same thing. It's Press Select for Options, the 4 being the number.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, guys. Hope to see you around for maybe another episode down the line or something.
Yeah, listen, like I actually had a really fun time. So you guys ever want us on again? I mean, I hope we left a good impression, because I would love to do this again, actually. It was actually pretty fun.
love talking about video games. I love video games.
Well,
no, seriously.
Why do you think we started this show?
I'm not too big of a fan.
This is whatever, man. Video games. It's all about motorcycles. I don't know what I'm doing here.
It's all about the Nintendo.
Motorcycles, zombies.
I really just wanted to talk about power strips. I don't know about you guys.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good day, all right?
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
All right, guys.
So that was Matt and Jeff from Press Select for Options. If you guys want to join in on the conversation for any of the other topics we're about to talk about, you can join in on our chat room. You can email us directly. You can call the actual station at area code 347-327-9451. Call in, give us your thoughts. Right now, where are we going into next, Russ? You got the next story, right?
Actually, I think you have the next story.
Oh, I do have the next story. Speaking of continuing this trend of online purchases and online stuff, EA has said recently that they're going to get rid of online passes.
That's about damn time.
Yeah, it's about damn time, but then again, you have to think about what we were talking about earlier, and maybe EA had some, like, knowledge beforehand about it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, people are going to have to pay for used games or something along that line.
Yeah.
We might as well get rid of online passes. There's no point in using it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's been a long overdue thing when it comes to that. That the online passes just annoyed people. And it basically just made, like, it confused people. People don't want to have to put in codes to get on their online games. And, it's just one of those things that it's done.
Yeah, I was never a fan of online passes, but
I'm just glad it's done.
I'm just glad it's done. Right now, actually, I was just about to bring up Ubisoft because Ubisoft does the same thing.
Yeah, Ubisoft has got, but we forgot, almost forgot on this. EA also recently hinted at a new Battlefront game.
They did, like a possible new Battlefront game.
Yeah, let me just find it.
You got the article from
I got it right here.
Screw Attack, I believe it was.
Yeah, I go to Screw Attack all the time. I wouldn't be shocked if that's where I grabbed it from. But basically, what was said is that they have an opportunity to make a new Battlefront game now, and that they're going to attempt it. They're going. I mean, and people have been clamoring for Battlefront for Battlefront 3. Like
literally before the company went down, there were rumors circling that the guys who originally developed Battlefront, I forget their name. If someone can let me know again, but
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But Battlefront 3 was like 99% done.
Yeah, and it just kind of stopped.
So we either if a new Battlefront game is developed under EA's new licensing with LucasArts, I'm gonna put my money on the table and say that it's DICE that develops it.
Yeah, it did mention in the article. Actually, let me pull it back up again.
Yeah.
New DICE Studios expected to work on Star Wars titles, and that it's looking increasingly more like DICE is going to do it.
Yeah, and continuing on this EA trend, a couple weeks ago, EA said that they were going to pull all their support on the Wii U. And then just the other day, EA, and then because of that, like one of the EA's directors in one of their divisions said, the Wii U is crap! Like he hates the system. And then they went on this entire tirade saying they're not going to make any more games for the Wii U.
Yeah, and you know what? They're going to be obviously backtracking on that because with that, you don't want to alienate any type of your consumer block.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nintendo has a hardcore following.
Yes.
People love Nintendo.
Of course.
And even though it hasn't had the largest sell on the Wii U, there's going to be problems if you don't include these people. And if you're gonna try to alienate anybody, you don't want to alienate people who have been some of the longest standing, most hardcore fans around there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they have backtracked.
Of course.
They have.
They backtracked like hardcore.
Yes.
Like just recently, they released another article like, oh wait, no. We're gonna make Wii U games, but we are going to focus on Xbox One and PS3.
Of course.
Because those are the two big systems, and the Wii U. At this point, Nintendo is kind of just sticking to this. I want to say Nintendo is now a niche market, but like when you compare the Xbox One and the PS4 specs to the Wii U specs are this current generation.
Yeah, that's been the way it has been.
Nintendo's always been that way. Nintendo's always been a step behind. I've constantly been saying, and I'm going to say it until it happens, that Nintendo is going to get out of the console market and stay in the handheld market where they are dominating.
Yeah.
They are dominating the handheld market. I mean, you've got other competitors. You've got, of course, you have Sony trying to do it. But like I said, Nintendo's the king of the handheld.
Hail to the king, baby.
Exactly. But like you got other competitors like Nvidia's making their quote unquote handheld.
Yeah.
The quote unquote handheld.
Nobody has ever been able to dethrone Nintendo in terms of handhelds. I mean, Sega tried, failed.
Oh my God! Are you talking about the Game Gear?
Yeah, Sony tried, failed. The only thing that I can actually think of possibly being the thing that could even come close to being on par with the Nintendo handhelds is if what we talked about the other day with how they're trying to make that Android-based handheld.
Yes.
There's not much. There aren't that many details on that yet.
Right now. They're working on it.
We'll probably talk about that when there's more details.
More details on that, but right now, like sticking with like Sony, Sony's got some really good deals coming out on their network right now, don't they?
Yeah, they actually have this week only. They're doing ultimate deals for ultimate editions on games, up to 65% off of these titles, 75% if you're a PlayStation Plus member.
I'm not, but
yeah, well,
it's still a good deal.
65% to 75% is not a huge. I mean, the extra 10% is not that big of a deal. But these include and are not limited to, but do include Assassin's Creed 3 Ultimate Edition, Arkham City, Batman Arkham City Ultimate Edition. I'm just gonna stop saying Ultimate Edition. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, DMC Devil May Cry.
The new Devil May Cry, which I know a lot of you hardcore Devil May Cry fans did not like.
Yeah, Far Cry 3, Max Payne 3, Max Payne, who is Max Payne's younger, lesser-known brother.
Who's probably a priest.
Yes, he's a priest. Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, Persona 4 Arena, Starhawk, and Transformers Fall of Cybertron. Now, all of these come with the full game plus all add-ons. And I was looking at it. Some of these deals are really good. Other ones are not quite so great. But if you're PlayStation,
like I know you have a PS3 still. You still play it often.
Yeah.
Like if you were to pick any of the ones that we just listed, which deals would you go for?
Well, problem is I have a lot of these games already.
So do I.
But if I put myself in a vacuum, I would definitely be grabbing the Arkham City.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be grabbing the Assassin's Creed 3, and probably I would be grabbing Rising Revengeance. Maybe the Fall of Cybertron. I don't know. I know you played that.
I played Fall of Cybertron and I enjoyed it very much.
But yeah, that's it's looking pretty good. That they have these 10 games plus more. Might be plus add-ons and stuff. And just go check it out if you're looking for a game to grab for the weekend.
It's like Sony's comparison to the Steam sales.
Yeah, basically it's like a Steam sale for Sony. It's through Memorial Day weekend, which we're on right now.
We're on right now.
Yeah.
And you know what? Speaking of Memorial Day, I think it's time for a top 5.
Oh yeah. This week we actually have a Memorial Day themed top 5, and we decided we were going to use our top 5 memorial or statues in games.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, you take care of this.
I'll start off. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I couldn't think of a number 5 because this was such a hard list to make because there are so many games and so many statues.
Yeah, so it's Brian's top 4 then.
It's my top 4. Russ has an actual top 5. It's my top 4. I kind of cheated a little bit, but who cares? My show. Our show.
Yes, our show. Stop trying to cut me out of the show.
So my top 4. Right now, we're going to start off now. As many of you who actually know me outside the show know I am a really big hardcore Mass Effect fan. And I have 2 for Mass Effect. One for Mass Effect 2, one for Mass Effect 1. For Mass Effect 2, it was a DLC for 2, but it's the Normandy SR1 Memorial. I forget the planet name it's on, but the reason I love that memorial, that little DLC actually brought me to tears. Reason being is because it made me remember everything I did in Mass Effect 1 and just the emotional impact that scene created. For those of you who play Mass Effect 2, you know why the memorial was created because, well, spoiler warning, the Normandy SR1 is destroyed literally at the beginning of the game.
You cried at a video game?
I cried at a video game.
You need help.
For various other reasons, yes, but not because I cried at a video game. I cried at several video games. I've done it before. I'll admit it. I cry at video games. But I love that because of the emotional impact. And from Mass Effect 1, it was the Krogan statue in the Presidium. If you play Mass Effect 1, you know that statue represents like the Krogan's assistance in the Rachni Wars. The reason I love that statue is because of the ultimate backstabbery that the Krogan got. Well, it's mostly the Krogan's fault in Mass Effect lore, but that statue represents like the fact that the Citadel Council could not win the Rachni Wars without the Krogan's help. And then immediately after that, the Citadel Council is just like, you know what? The Krogan are spreading too fast. They're fighting us now. We're at a war with the Krogan, and we got to cause the genophage. We got to make them not be able to have children anymore or really, really reduce their chances of having a kid. So that's one of the reasons why I love that statue. The other one is from God of War 2. And it's the Colossus of Rhodes. Reason being, it's a boss fight. You're fighting a living statue. What's more awesome than that? Fighting 2 living statues, but that I've yet to see that. And then the last one was in Fallout 3, the Lincoln Memorial, because it's one of the key plot points in the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a minute, because it's on my list, too.
It's on his list as well.
I'll go into detail about it.
So what's your actual top 5?
My top 5, okay. Starting with, basically, these are actually in order. Normally, I go out of order, and I don't put an order to it, but this one was actually, I was able to put a 5 through 1 order to. The lion head statue from Resident Evil. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I am still holding on by the threads to this day, hoping that it will recover. It won't, but I'm hoping.
That's why we have the Evil Within coming in.
Yes, the Evil Within. But the lion head statue became kind of an iconic portion of the game, because you get the gems and you put it in his eye and it spins to and on one side there's it's a key or I don't remember off the top of my head all of a sudden. It's either a key or some sort of puzzle piece. And then on the other side, if you find the other gem, you get all important Magnum ammo, which is of course the best gun in the game. And they actually redid the lion head statue for a later game, because it was in the Spencer Mansion in the first game. They redid it for the Ashford Mansion in Code Veronica X, to the point where you actually walk into the room, because you get sort of like knocked out in the game at one point, and they transfer you, and you're like, the first room you walk into is this, and you're like, oh, how the hell did I get here now? Like,
you're kind of like, wait, I'm in the other mansion? What the hell happened?
I got here again? My second one is the Darmatan statues from Pokemon Black and White. These kind of just sit in the desert, and you're like, man, these statues are weird. Why are they here? And then what ends up happening is later in the game, you can unlock them, and you get Darmatan, which is one of the which is a fire Pokemon. But when this particular Darmatan gets a very special, unique ability called Zen Mode, and you can after they reach their 50% and down on their health points, they turn into a completely different Pokemon. Zen Mode Darmatan, which is a psychic Pokemon, which is really cool. I have a second Pokemon one on my list at number 3, which is the Pokemon statues from all the gyms and the Pokemon League in Red and Blue. A lot of people actually don't know this about these statues, is that there was a glitch built into the game where you can actually fish into these statues. You can use your fishing pole and fish into them. You can only catch like Magikarps, lower-level Magikarps, but it was still a little cool thing that I liked about it. And anybody who still plays those games, if you didn't know that, go and try it. It's actually kind of a little weird thing.
That is an interesting. It's actually an Easter egg.
It's an Easter egg. Yeah, you can go find that. And number 2 on my list is the marker from Dead Space, whether it be the black or red marker, which is it's the key plot point to the entire storyline. The markers are what drive the entire thing. And they're basically really evil obelisks that turn people into undead aliens. And it doesn't get much cooler than that.
Does it seem for 2001: A Space Odyssey start playing when you get near those markers?
No, it doesn't, but it should. Probably should. And my last is my number 1, coincides with one on Brian's list, and that's the Lincoln Memorial from Fallout 3.
Yeah, and I noticed when you sent me your list, you misspelled Fallout.
No, I didn't misspell it. There's just a space there. That's not a misspell.
Fallout is one word.
It doesn't matter. It's not like your Marvel crap. But anyway, the Lincoln Memorial was, of course, a plot point. You have to go in and you have to clear it of all of its. As anybody who's played Fallout 3, which at this point you should have, it takes place in Washington D.C. And at one point you need to go and put a satellite on top of the Lincoln Memorial, and you have to clear it out. And it's just it's a pretty cool little thing that they put in there. And there's also the Washington Monument you can see.
The Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial. There's a lot of actual memorable locations.
It's actually
because it's DC.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to do. But those are my top 5, and we'll do another top 5 in 2 weeks.
Yep, in 2 weeks we'll do another top 5.
Oh no, in 2 shows. Sorry, not
2 shows. 4
weeks.
Yeah, in 4 weeks we'll do another top 5. In the next episode we're gonna go back to the retro room.
The retro room, which now we actually have 2 rooms. I can go to the retro room.
We can actually go to the retro room if we wanted to. The retro, like that, we actually want to bring that up. We got a studio. Sort of.
Was that a soundbite, or did you actually just say that?
I just said that.
Yeah, we're in the process of updating our studio.
Yeah.
We're gonna start bringing in actual, like, we as much as Jeff and Matt were awesome as call-in guests, it does become a little bit difficult to mitigate the issues of who's talking when you can't see each other. So we're actually setting it up. We're gonna try and get in studio guests here. We already have a couple lined up. We're just trying to hammer out the details.
Right. Yeah. Like scheduling conflicts and like transportation. Maybe some of them can't drive or just choose not to come up.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll figure it all out.
We're gonna get all this stuff hammered out, but right now we got one more story to cover, and then that pretty much covers the entire episode. Like the bulk of it was literally that Xbox conversation.
Yeah. Well, this story actually covers dual media.
It does. Recently, like Ubisoft, makes the Assassin's Creed franchise, and one of the creative directors on Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Patrice Desilets, or
let me see it real quick.
It's French, I know that.
Desilets.
Desilets, thank you for. He was recently fired from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
The details behind which, because he was originally part of THQ Montreal. He left Ubisoft to go into THQ Montreal, and as we all know, THQ is now dead. And when THQ died...
So did he.
Well, I'll get to that. Ubisoft bought THQ Montreal, and they were like, and producers were like, oh, I'm working for these guys again?
Oh, it was probably more like, oh, I'm working for these guys again? Why would I want to work for these guys?
So he starts...
Screw you, I'm going and speaking French.
So he starts working on them again. He starts working on Assassin's Creed. He helped out with Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2. He left Ubisoft and became the head of THQ Montreal. And then when
THQ Montreal.
And then recently Ubisoft was like, Patrice, we gotta let you go for various reasons. And Patrice was recently working on a project called 1666. Now, I don't know the details of the project at all because I have yet to do my research on that.
I actually hadn't even heard about it.
Shame on me for that one. I apologize on that. But we
can do a follow-up.
We can do a follow-up. Ubisoft was pretty much looking at their earnings for the year, and they were like, all right, to counteract this, we got to do some cutoffs, and Patrice was one of those cutoffs. So Patrice, I'm sorry to see you let go, but I hope you'll find your place in the game industry once again at one of the other developers.
He will find a job.
He will find a job or make his own studio.
Maybe. It will be French.
It will be French.
Sorry,
probably.
I can't help myself.
It's okay.
Anytime I get a chance to make fun of someone with a French accent, I can't help it.
It's okay as long as they don't get offended.
I don't care if they get offended.
But yeah, we'll get more on this stuff as it develops. This was just a recent story that was released a couple days ago.
But that also brings up that recently the Assassin's Creed movie has been announced.
That it was. Yeah. Assassin's Creed the movie was announced.
Of course, I'm not sure if this will actually be a thing or not. I mean, there's been movies stuck in development hell for a while.
It's pretty much a thing. The script is written. It's been cast. The movie is slated to start production around the end of the year, and they've already casted Michael Fassbender, aka Magneto from X-Men First Class, and
Pasty German Man.
And Pasty German Man from.
He was
in Inglourious Bastards. He was in X-Men First Class.
He was in Prometheus.
Prometheus. I was about to mention that one. And
which might I add, if we were on a movie-based show, I'd have a lot of problems with Prometheus, but we'll hold that for another day.
We'll get that for another day if we ever decide to do another video game movie tie-in thing, or create a topic about video game tie-in movies.
Yeah.
So the movie is slated for production at the end of the year. The movie is slated for release...
almost 2 years to the day.
2 years from tomorrow. So May 25th, 2015. Now, I have very little hope for this movie.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the trend of video game to movie translations.
Yeah, there hasn't been really a good one ever.
Which is why I'm kind of also skeptical on that Halo TV show.
Yeah, when your best example of a good video game movie is Mortal Kombat, which was campily funny.
Yeah.
You have an issue.
Yeah, you do have an issue. And then the other one being the exact opposite of horrendously bad, well, it's any movie Uwe Boll did.
Yeah, yes, pretty much.
Or the Resident Evil franchise, where it just keeps making money because people just want to see Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. But the way it always seems to work with these things is that it goes back and forth. Like, bad movie turns into bad, a good movie can be turned into bad game. A good game can be turned into bad movie, or bad movie can be turned into bad. A good game can be turned into bad movie, turned into bad game, as we saw with the Street Fighter 2 movie.
With the Street Fighter movie?
With the Street Fighter movie
that
game.
That was actually another one that kind of falls in that same category as Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Where it was so bad it's good.
But yeah, basically what ended up happening was that with that one was it was Street Fighter 2, awesome game.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter 2, the movie.
Of course.
Was not so great. And then of course they would go on to make a game out of the movie, out of the game.
What?
Yeah.
And fun fact about that movie, it was Raul Julia's last movie before he passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I'm going on a tirade right now. It's kind of like how Orson Welles' last movie was Transformers the movie from 1986, being the voice of Unicron.
Actually, the movie that got me and Brian to know each other, ironically, was that movie.
Yeah,
I was watching it on my college. We were both attending community college, and I knew nobody. I was sitting there watching it on my laptop, and Brian, with the worst chapped lips I ever saw in my life,
I had really bad chapped
comes
lips.
along and goes, "This is my favorite movie," and I go.
Not literally like licking my lips, but...
But I was like, who the hell is this guy in clown makeup that's talking to me?
From there, a friendship was born.
From there, a friendship was born, and a hatred was also born.
Of clowns.
Of clowns. But anyway.
But yeah, we pretty much covered everything we wanted to talk about today. We want to thank everyone that joined us today. We want...
Yeah, I'd actually like to do a special thanking for Luis, a guy that I go to school with. He pointed me to the one of the articles, and I'd like to give a special shout out to my friend Shelly, who I made sure was listening to this live. She's probably turning red right about now. She gets embarrassed very easily. Hi, Shelly.
I would love to give a shout out to people. I just want to thank Matt and Jeff for joining us today.
The Hardy Boys?
No, not the Hardy Boys.
Oh, I really want to meet those guys.
So do I, but I don't think we're going to. Again, I want to thank you guys for listening in. If you want to watch Matt and Jeff's videos, of course, you can check them out on YouTube at Press Select for Options. If you want to follow us, you can follow our page on Facebook at www.facebook.com/GamenationRadio. Follow us on Twitter at GamenationRadio, or just listen into the show. Follow us that way. Spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family about this show, and just tell them, hey, this is a great show to listen to. They're pretty well informed. They're entertaining to listen to.
I'm not that well informed.
Well, Russ has a tendency to shoot from the hip, but...
I'm the hip shooter.
He's the hip shooter. I do the research.
Funny part is that's not true at all.
I'm shaking my fist at him in anger. But we want to thank everyone for listening, and so we'll see you all in 2 weeks for our next episode. From there, E3's coming up. So I'm not going to say if this is a definite or not, but we may be doing a special E3 coverage episode around the time of E3. So keep up to date on that. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care.